And there were men from mankind who sought refuge in men from the Jinn, so they increased them in burden. Qur'an, Surah Jinn 72:6. The verse hangs heavy in the air, like a door half opened to a reality most people never dare to face, a reality not bound by flesh and bone, a realm unseen, unheard, yet closer than the beating of your own heart. Have you ever wondered what lies beyond human sight? What secrets the Jinn hold, secrets whispered long before humanity learned to write history? Could invisible beings walk among us, listening, watching, influencing lives without ever being seen? Long before the Qur'an was revealed, before the sky was sealed and guarded, the universe followed a different rhythm. The heavens were not silent, the unseen was not distant, and the Jinn, created from smokeless fire, were not cut off from the divine conversations that echoed above the earth. In those ancient days, when darkness and light mingled freely, certain Jinn would rise into the skies. They would climb upon one another, forming living ladders of fire and shadow, stretching toward the lower heavens. There, they would strain to hear the words exchanged between angels, decrees about destiny, reign, life, and death. Whatever fragments they caught, they carried back to earth, feeding fortune-tellers and soothsayers with truths mixed with lies. But something was about to change. The desert night was still. The wind whispered through the dunes like a forgotten memory. Stars burned fiercely above, unblinking witnesses to secrets older than time itself. In that silence, a presence moved, not human, yet not distant. He was a Jinn of the upper winds, tall and lean, his form flickering like flame behind smoke. His eyes glowed faintly, not with evil, but with awareness. He had lived centuries, long enough to see civilizations rise and crumble like sandcastles before the tide. The Jinn were not demons as many imagine. They were beings of choice, capable of belief and disbelief, obedience and rebellion. Among them were the righteous and the corrupt, the worshippers and the tyrants. They lived, married, formed tribes, and followed leaders just as humans did. And like humans, they wondered, what happens when a being trapped between worlds faces a choice? Can a creature born from smokeless fire seek mercy like those made from clay? This Jinn had often listened to the heavens. He had felt the tremor of angelic wings above him, sensed the weight of divine command passing through the cosmos. But tonight, something felt wrong. The sky felt guarded. As he rose upward, following paths he had traveled countless times before, the air shifted. The familiar openness of the heavens felt sealed, tightened, protected by an unseen force. Suddenly, a blazing light tore through the darkness, a meteor. It screamed across the sky, sharp and deliberate, striking with precision. The Jinn barely escaped, flames licking his form as he fell back toward the earth. Never before had the heavens responded this way. Fear, an emotion not often admitted among Jinn, gripped him. Others like him fell back too, scattered, burned, confused. The sky that once whispered secrets now roared with warning.
Later, Allah would reveal, and we used to sit there in stations for hearing, but whoever listens now will find a burning flame lying in wait for him. Qur'an, Surah Al-Jinn 72:9. But at that moment, the Jinn did not yet know why. Drawn by confusion and curiosity, the Jinn descended toward a valley near Mecca. There, in the stillness before dawn, a man stood alone in prayer. His voice was calm, yet powerful, reciting words unlike anything the Jinn had ever heard. The Qur'an. Each verse struck deeper than fire ever could. This was not poetry, this was not magic. This was command, mercy, warning, and truth, woven together with divine precision. The jinn froze. What happens when the unseen hears truth for the first time? What happens when centuries of arrogance collapse in a single moment of clarity? The words explained everything. The sealed heavens, the guarded skies, the end of stolen knowledge. A new revelation had begun. Muhammad, peace be upon him, had been sent as a messenger, not just to humans, but to all creation. The jinn listened until the recitation ended. Something inside him shifted. For the first time, the universe made sense. He returned to his people shaken. Some mocked him, others feared what this meant. A few, very few, felt the same pull in their hearts. "We have heard a wondrous Qur'an," some of them would later say, "guiding to righteousness, so we have believed in it." Qur'an, Surah al-Jinn, 72, 1-2. But belief is never without consequence. Would the jinn accept this truth or rebel against it? Would they submit or attempt to reclaim what was taken from them? As whispers spread through both realms, human and jinn, the balance of the unseen began to shift. The skies were sealed, the old ways were ending, and forces far greater than any single being were now in motion. The encounter had happened. The truth had been heard. But what if this meeting was only the beginning of a story far greater than anyone could imagine? What forces would soon be set in motion that would change everything? The valley did not sleep that night. Even after the jinn dispersed, even after the echo of Quranic recitation faded into the hills, something unseen lingered in the air, like a ripple after a stone strikes still water. Humans felt it as unease, animals sensed it as restlessness, and the jinn felt it as a rupture in the order they had known for centuries. What dark secrets hide behind the whispers in the night? How does one fight an enemy unseen, yet deeply felt? Among the jinn tribes, confusion turned into division. Some spoke in hushed tones about the words they had heard, words that cut through falsehood like light through smoke. Others raged. The sealing of the heavens was not just a loss of access, it was a loss of power. The fortune tellers who once relied on scattered truths now fed only lies. The chains of influence weakened, and those who thrived on deception felt their dominion slipping. One of them chose to resist. He was older, harsher, his form darker and heavier, as if shadow itself clung to him. Where others hesitated, he acted. If humans were the reason the heavens were closed, then humans would feel the consequence. He slipped into the village at the edge of the valley, unseen, unheard, moving through walls as easily as wind through cracks. That was when the disturbances began. A man would wake suddenly at night, heart racing, breath tight, as if hands pressed against his chest. A child would scream at nothing, eyes fixed at corners no one else could see. A woman would feel thoughts enter her mind that were not her own, whispers of despair, doubt, and fear. Was it madness? Was it illness? Or was something unseen drawing closer? Some laughed it off, others trembled in silence. But a few remembered words passed down quietly among the believers. The unseen exists, but it does not rule. When the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught the Qur'an, he taught protection along with belief. He taught that no power, seen or unseen, stands against Allah's words. Indeed, the plot of Shaitan is weak. Qur'an, Surah An-Nisa, verse 76. One night, as fear reached its peak, a believer stood firm. He raised his voice, not in anger, not in panic, but in certainty. He recited Ayat al-Kursi,
The words filled the space, steady and commanding, describing a Lord who never sleeps, whose authority encompasses the heavens and the earth. The unseen recoiled. Could the words of the Qur'an be stronger than the forces of darkness? What happens when faith confronts fear? The Jinn felt it like fire without flame, an unbearable pressure. The one who had slipped into the village staggered back, his whispers shattered. He had faced weapons before, but never this. Not iron, not fire, but truth. Others watched from a distance, stunned. This was not a battle of strength, it was a battle of authority. Some Jinn fled entirely, unwilling to face what they did not understand. Some lingered, curious rather than hostile. And some, like the first Jinn who had heard the Qur'an in the valley, felt something deeper stir within them. Why did these words burn falsehood but soothe the heart? Why did submission feel lighter than rebellion? The believers did not chase the unseen. They did not bargain with it. They turned instead to prayer, to remembrance, to seeking refuge in Allah morning and evening. They recited, "I seek refuge in the Lord of daybreak from the evil of what He has created." Qur'an, Surah Al-Falaq, 113, verses 1 and 2. Slowly, the nights grew quieter. But conflict is rarely resolved so easily. The rebellious Jinn returned one final time, desperate, enraged. If he could not dominate, he would destroy. He targeted the weakest moment, just before dawn, when fear often feels closest. He pushed with all his force, hoping to overwhelm the heart of a believer with terror. Instead, he met something unexpected: sujood. A human forehead pressed into the earth. Tears fell not from fear, but from humility. A prayer rose, not demanding protection, but trusting it. "O Allah, you are sufficient for us." At that moment, the command came, not spoken, yet absolute. The Jinn felt it instantly. It was not pain, it was finality, a boundary drawn by divine will. Some Jinn are punished, some are restrained, some are guided. This one was driven away, barred from returning, his influence severed. The conflict ended not with spectacle, but with decree. What power does true faith hold against the darkest of forces? How does mercy reach even those from the unseen realms? In the aftermath, the believing Jinn gathered. They spoke openly now, no longer hiding. They acknowledged what they had heard and what they had witnessed. The Qur'an had not come to dominate them, but to invite them. And among us are the righteous, and among us others not so. We were of divided ways. Qur'an, Surah Al-Jinn, verse 72, verse 11. Some accepted Islam fully, committing themselves to worship as humans do, each in their own unseen way. Others turned away, not out of ignorance, but choice. Justice did not rush them. Mercy did not force them.